Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I hope you all are well. Welcome to Thank You for Everything, a podcast where I interview my friends about themselves and the things they love. This is episode 1 of the Elroy interview, episode 1 of many. I'll be rolling these out probably once every 2 weeks, maybe more if I'm feeling up to the editing. I will be interviewing other friends while this is being rolled out, so I might have some other interviews interspersed in there. Not super sure how this is going to work yet, but until then, here's Elroy. I hope you enjoy. Ridiculous I look. Okay, so I wrote an intro for this. I'm silly excited. Hello, I hope you're well. I'm Bryce, and welcome to the first episode of a show that I don't know the title of yet, where I talk to my friends about themselves and the things they love. To start us off, we have one of my favorite people and coincidentally favorite artists of all time, starting his career with posting a flurry of singles on Soundcloud, which would eventually be coalesced into his first project, Sunny. Elroy came onto the scene with a laid-back yet emotional vocal style, delivering hypnotizing, introspective lyrics over massive 808s and heavy trap drum patterns, using a collection of sounds picked from TV shows, video games, and music that surrounded him. I, and clearly many others, had never heard anything like Elroy's music, especially executed in such a meticulous and precise manner. Over the next few years, Elroy would continue building an extremely dedicated fan base, releasing music that progressively became somehow even more refined, coupling it with beautiful visuals on YouTube and a general air of captivating mystery in his online presence. All of this has culminated in his most recent release, Dream Yoga. Dream Yoga boasts his most dynamic, creative, and hard-hitting production yet. Twinkly, almost ASMR-esque Midwest emo-style guitars getting stabbed in the face by brutal kicks and a violent bass, supporting one of Elroy's most nuanced vocal performances to date. Dream Yoga is paired with video game daydream visuals of gardeners with heads in the shape of moons and cats slapping floating hearts, and an incredible rendering of Elroy himself. This is Elroy's most complete and realized release yet. So without further ado, Elroy, get up in here. Hey. We did it, y'all. Look at us.
What's up, biscuit?
Give me a dab. Damn, on-camera dab. Terrifying. I just literally shat.
Thank you for the intro, bro.
I got you. How was that for you?
I felt like I was about to go on stage. I was like behind the curtain back there. I was like bouncing up and down.
Yeah, you're like getting all hyped. I got this. Let me just make sure we got audio. Can y'all hear Elroy? We got a yeah. We got multiple We got multiple yeah. All right. So, how are you today?
I'm good. Thanks, bro. I just got a haircut, so... You know?
Yeah, you look fucking crispy.
Thanks. How are you?
That. I love the side things. If anybody's ever noticed this, there was a period in 2021 where I started like trimming the sides like silly high as well because of you and your beautiful skull.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I'm well. I'm just gonna set this up. I'm gonna set us up.
Okay.
So I got some questions here that I'm gonna ask and refer to if I feel like it, but there will be many tangents. And I'm looking to make this kind of as freeform as possible. We kind of talked about this before the show. When we feel like it, we will also bring in some audience questions that can be submitted on the Twitch submissions channel on my Discord. Somebody in the chat can link the Discord. And if you're in the Discord already, hell yeah, you've got first dibs. So yeah, and then eventually we will have some celebrity appearances as well. Ty Lorenzo is joining us today in the studio. Do you want to...
Ty in the building.
Ty is in the building. Hey! Yeah, hell yeah, okay. Perfect. Ty's watching live as well in the studio. All right, so beforehand, let's just make sure. Do you have all your beverages in order and everything like that?
Yeah.
Let's open that
get
shit
one
up.
started?
Make sure you get it all started. We got waters and other shenanigans inbound. Wow. So first of all, thank you so much for joining us all today, especially since it took a little longer. This is our first time doing anything like this. Longtime fans will know that sometime in 2021, I hopped on a shared Instagram live call with Elroy. And we tried to do some version of this.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
It was the best day of my life. Okay, let's do this, man. Jesus, I'm so excited. All right, so Dream Yoga is the first release you've had in a while, but specifically since moving to New York. And obviously I've been with you for some of that process, but I was wondering if you could kind of walk us through what the last year has been like since you dropped.
Yeah, so I didn't drop for a long time because after making Ivy, I think that might be my favorite song of mine.
Even after Dream Yoga?
Yes, I think so. I don't know. It hasn't been out. Dream Yoga hasn't been out long enough
You
for
haven't
me
been able to breathe on it.
Yeah. But Ivy, like after that came out, I really wanted to make another song that sounded like Ivy.
Yeah.
That had like the same energy and like the same arrangement, and just because Ivy to me just like flows in a very natural way where like the energy never dies down, really. So I was comparing everything I made to Ivy, which
Right.
I feel like we talk about this a lot. Like
Yeah.
when you make a song you really like and then you like want everything else to sound exactly like that.
Yeah. And it's just never going to hit the same.
Exactly.
Ever.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So I was doing that for a while, and then I started to become really frustrated with the technicality side of things. Like I was mixing music in a very unconventional way where everything was peaking and just like destroying the master. I wasn't even putting anything on the master.
Yeah. Iconic.
Yeah.
What
it
was your last song that you were doing that on?
Ivy. So I did that on Ivy.
Ivy was peaking the master?
Yes.
Dude,
Yes.
I don't understand. So just do you want to talk people through what was actually happening there for like most of you, like technically?
Yeah, sure. So the master is just means like it's like the single channel that like everything ends up coming out of at the end.
Do you mind sharing what DAW you're using, by the way?
I use Ableton.
Okay.
And we can get more into my DAW history too, because that's fun.
Yeah, because I think this is an important note because every DAW like acts differently when you peak the master, when you peak the stereo out.
Exactly, yeah. So Ableton reacts really well. As we talk about all the time, you can peak the master, which essentially in simple terms, that just means you can slam things really loudly into the master, like a bunch of stuff at once, and it handles it really well.
Yeah.
So that's what I was doing. Like all of the music I have out, I did that for. It's a very specific sound where things are like harsh, and there isn't really space for like a single element to kind of shine on its own. They're all just shining at the same exact time. I started to become frustrated with the way that sounded. So I had to learn a lot of stuff, which isn't something I had done in a while, where like I was watching YouTube videos, talking with Ty all the time, because Ty knows everything about the technical side of things.
So to like just as a tangent, Ty and I both use Logic, and Logic interacts very differently when you peak the master. It's like a huge no-no. Everything just kind of fades into oblivion. You get no dynamic range. But so you kind of have to do things like very traditionally, and Ty is the god of that. So
Exactly, yeah. Because like, yeah, to put it in non-music terms, you make the song. That's like one process. You mix it, which is like working with the individual parts of that song. And then you master it, which is working just with the one audio file. I wasn't doing any of that. It was all just like one big thing. So I needed...
Would you put anything on the master? Like, was there any plugins on the master?
I think on Ivy, I put some like saturator or something. And I was like mastering.
Which is just like for people again who don't know music, basically what's happening when you peak the master is it's distorting. It's saturating to a certain extent in Ableton. And so you have just done that twice.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, it doesn't make sense how clear that music all sounded.
Yeah, I honestly didn't really understand it too, but like it worked.
It worked.
It worked for me, and it was like a quick way to do things. So that's why I did it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to learn how to get my music to sound like just as punchy and loud as it did, but just in a cleaner way where like you could actually hear the individual elements of the song and whatever. So I had to learn how to like gain stage, which I still don't totally know what that means. To be honest.
So is gain staging when you like what is gain staging?
I believe it's when I believe it's when you.
I'm just like, bro, like we.
I believe it's when you get all of the sounds to like to be at the same level, like comparison wise, while leaving headroom on the master.
Right. So I remember seeing a bunch of shit where it's like you have to bounce out all the stems and then you put them at 0 on the volume. And so you just like hear it all sound just at 0. I was always super confused on gain staging.
I also don't know what it means, but what I know is that what I started doing was getting the entire song like as one to not peak the master.
Right.
Like,
so you're hitting it at like minus 6, 12?
Minus like 2 maybe.
Minus 2?
So a little bit of headroom.
Such a slut.
But like I love my music loud, y'all. Like so
just
essentially,
to be clear, I feel like industry standard is like if you want to make it loud and dynamic, you got to make it real quiet because the most dynamic. To like
I've always had the opposite approach.
Math wise, decibels are like a logarithmic system. So like the quieter you make it, the more the dynamic, the more range you can have in dynamic sound. Because like the difference in I don't know if I'm just confusing myself as I talk right now, but basically like you can see like a huge dynamic difference when you have them at like peaking at minus 12, for example. You can get like giant ranges, but then as soon as you like the bass is hitting at like minus 2 or something like that, then like everything only has like a few dB to wiggle around.
Yes.
Type shit.
Yeah, and notoriously the kick like fucks everything up.
Right.
Because a kick is just like a really loud.
It should be pokey
sound. Yeah.
So
that was like that was what I was spending the most time on specifically was the kick. Like, how do I get because my kicks have always been like really punchy. Yeah. And the way I would do that is I would just like compress them really hard. So I was trying to get them to hit hard without being loud. And then building the song around that. So I feel like I have a much better understanding of that now. And Dream Yoga is my first song where it's like traditionally mixed and mastered.
Dope. I just think it's like the quality difference is unbelievable.
Thank you. Yeah, I think so too.
I went back and like listened to every song of yours, like doing the shit for this, like warming up for this interview. And like, dude, it's like, just to be clear, like I had Elroy's songs in my top 5 most played for like years, and now it's some weird shit. Now it's like I like had an Ant song on like repeat all night the other night, so that's gonna be at the top for a long time. But so yeah, I like fell in love during like the Sunny era, and like Zebra is still like one of my favorite. This is awful, but it's one of my favorite things you've ever made. Just because I don't know, I like intros and like the whole song's an intro. So it's like I'm a slut for that song. But like the clarity of Dream Yoga is like, dude, like the way your voice comes in, like at the start, it's just like, like you're just like, oh my god.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So that's what took so long was like figuring out how to make stuff that. Because I also like sold a lot of my equipment and like bought
beautiful.
Like this is a relatively new mic going through like new gear.
Look at us.
So like I just wanted to keep the sound that I had built, but just make it better.
Got you. So I'm hearing you feel like Ivy. You prefer the song?
Again, I can't formulate an opinion on Dream Yoga yet.
Okay, I love that.
I obviously like it because I put it out, but I don't know. It's like it's like it's kind of sits apart from the rest of my songs like in my brain.
Dream Yoga?
Yeah, it's just like I don't even know like,
I mean, it's like a whole new technique.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like I don't know how to I think it'll be easier to compare it to things when I've put out more stuff using the techniques I know now. And
it's like, I feel like it's a new era as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Like emotionally and everything.
Yeah.
Like being in like a new place and the whole 9.
I agree, yes. Yes. So.
How do you feel like, damn, I feel like I'm getting a little ahead of myself here because I really want to get into, first of all, like how you process like songs coming out and like how you enjoy them after they've come out and like how like stats influence that and stuff. But what was your process like creating Dream Yoga? Like, what was making that song like?
Well, this is actually funny because you were playing video games right outside my room when I made the
Chivalry.
Beat. He was playing Chivalry.
Getting some waxing.
So I was like making the beat, and and I would just hear him like, because he was on the phone. You were on the phone with one of your friends, right?
Yeah.
So I would like hear you like yell.
Wait, I was not on the phone. I was just. I'd just be talking to myself a lot, y'all.
You were playing Chivalry. I would hear you like get into it, and I was kind of just in the zone in here. But yeah, that was one of those things where like Scro, the guy who did the guitar, sent me these guitar loops. And the one that I ended up using, I mean, I built the song around the guitar that happens in the intro, and then I had him do more stuff like the acoustic at the end and whatever. But the loop that I used throughout like most of the song was like, I heard it, and it was one of those things where like within like 2 seconds, I was just like, dude, like I'm making a song with this, and it's coming out. Like it was like this overwhelming amount of confidence where I was just like, dude, like this is going to be an incredible song. It's going to come out. Yeah. Because the guitar by itself does this thing that I've realized I care most about in music and art in general, which is where you can't really describe what you're feeling. Like I don't really like art that you can describe, I guess. I just want it to be like a complex thing that if you try to explain, you just kind of like fumble over your words.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
And that's what that guitar loop felt like. And then I had this hook that I wrote like 2 or 3 years ago in a demo I made with Ty, actually. Like I think 3 years ago, like during lockdown, like me and Ty would get on FaceTime and we would just like crank out songs like so quickly.
I did not know this until like a week ago. And then Ty's like pulls up like 24 songs or some shit.
Dude,
like,
we would just crank songs out. And I'm still using stuff I've written like during those sessions now. Yeah.
It's so fire.
Because I feel like we were just such in this zone where like we were just messing around and like,
yeah, that's beautiful.
That's why we would end up writing such good things. So I wrote that hook in a FaceTime session with Ty. I wrote it in like 5 minutes, and then made slight alterations to it like over the course of a year or two. And I was so in love with the hook that I like couldn't let go of it. And every single beat I made, I would just sing that hook on it.
Oh my God.
And it ended up becoming like this obsessive thing where it was like, I can't like
what is there a song out that like you tried that hook over?
I definitely tried it over Ivy.
Damn, that's so dope.
And probably Bones too.
Damn.
As well as Parasite. But so the songs that have come out since I wrote that hook, yes, I tried it on.
Yeah.
But
wow.
It was I feel like I built up the hook in my head to be like such a big thing that like I wanted to make sure the instrumental was perfect for it. I don't really think that's like a super healthy way of thinking about it.
So it's the sort of thing where it was like, I've got this hook that's like that good.
Yeah.
That, like I will not like, and so you're saying like every instrumental that's like come up and that has been put out, so like Parasite, Bones, Ivy, you're just like, nah, it's not good enough type shit.
Or it was like, it just doesn't like fit it properly.
Sure.
Yeah, I think I just thought the hook was really good. So like the rest of the song needed to also be really good. Yeah. And like the right, I don't know, just the right key and like tempo for it.
Right, yeah.
So I have many versions of this song that are like fully finished or like almost finished that have this hook in it. I like previewed one like 2 years ago in the Parasite making up video.
Oh.
And they've all been like totally different songs, but like I don't know. I started singing that hook over that guitar loop. And again, it was just like an instantaneous like, oh, okay, it's going to go on this one.
Damn.
But the funny thing about Dream Yoga as a whole, like writing wise, is that the only writing on that song that I actually did like specifically for that song is the first verse.
Damn.
The like, bitch, don't kill my vibe. Like that stuff I wrote for that song, that little section. Everything else is just like things that I grabbed from demos I made like 2-3 years ago.
Yeah. That second verse is like, that's like, I think that's like my favorite verse you have out.
Thank you.
That shit is so nice. We like tried to sing it the other day, like without breathing, and it's impossible.
Yeah, you can't sing it in reality without taking a breath.
Yeah, put it. Everybody post that in the music channel of the Elroy Discord of y'all trying to sing that verse without taking a breath, because we can't do it. So That is so dope. Oh my God. I also love how it like comes in like halfway through like the second part of like you cut yourself off to like bring that second verse in, which is so sick.
Cause yeah, I've been really into like when verse melodies are the same throughout the song, which isn't something I've done until Ivy.
Yes.
So I was like, oh, I need to do it again for Dream Yoga. But then I was like, oh, but I also want a different verse there. So I was like, let me do the first verse for like a second and then like cut it off and go into something else.
Oh, fire. That's so sick.
But yeah, so I mean, yeah, overall it was a song that came like pretty quickly, but I did kind of slave over it for like a month, I think. Yeah, I would say for me, the sweet spot is like 2 to 4 weeks. Is like how long I need to work on a song before it's like finished. If it goes longer than that, it's probably not going to come out and I'm going to hate it.
Yeah.
I think Dream Yoga was getting close to that where I was like working on it too much. Yeah. So I just had to like submit it.
You just had to pull the trigger. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just go. Do you, so like over the past year, I'm assuming that you've just been like, I'm not assuming. I know you've been making hella music. He says angrily. But so do you feel like that's kind of what was happening where like you'd spend too much time on it type of shit or?
Just all the music I was making?
Yeah, so like I guess like why this one as opposed to all the other ones that you made?
Yeah, I've been trying to think about that because like I don't know if I can answer that. I feel like I was just trying like way too hard with a lot of the stuff I was making. Dream Yoga, the effort came later. It was like most of the song was laid out. I had like recorded most of it, and then it was just about really, really tiny things like recording this one word so that it sounds the way it needs to. Yeah, getting the mix all polished and stuff like that. But I think for the most part, every song I have that's actually come out has been like relatively effortless. There's always like a push at the end to get things like totally finished because I find that's the hardest part. But it has to come like pretty easily. It has to be. I feel like we talk about this a lot, and I've kind of described it as like a daze sort of thing, or like you're not even actually doing anything. You're just like sitting there, and then like you're like, oh, like I have like a song. That's basically how most of my songs that have come out have gone. Right. And the songs that don't come out are the ones where like I was there the whole time.
And you're like, I gotta make this goddamn hook.
It has to be pretty easy.
Yeah. So the forcing it is not working.
No.
Do you feel like anything you put out has been a forced one? Like, do you have any experience with putting out forcers?
I think there's a couple songs. Like I know like Zebra and Dream Yoga are like similar and Air are similar songs in that like I like grinded away on them for like a month. I think in some of those other songs cases like 2 months. But again, it's like all the ideas were like there really quickly, like on the first day. Yeah. And then it was about like, I think these ideas are really good. Yeah. I need to make the song like even crazier.
Yeah. And so you're just building on it.
Yeah.
That's dope. Cause those are 3 of my favorite songs by you for sure. Is Air the one that's like boom, boom, boom?
No, that's Ice.
Damn it. Never mind. I fucking hate Air. Air's the worst. Trash. Anyway. Go on.
Yeah. Like I don't mind when it's like super hard and like frustrating once the actual groundwork has been laid.
Yes.
But the groundwork laying has to be easy for me.
Yeah, I feel the fuck out of that. We were talking about this the other day filming a TikTok. So like, is that out? Did the TikTok?
No, maybe.
Soon come.
Big things soon.
Big coming to DVD and video.
It's like a 3-second TikTok.
It's the best TikTok you've ever had. I filmed it, so no bias. But yeah, we were talking about how like feeling like the utmost confidence all of a sudden, like when a song starts. Was that the first time that it happened in a while?
With Dream Yoga?
Yeah. Like that feeling of like you hear that guitar loop and you're like, this is happening.
It was, it was.
When was the last time that happened?
I mean, that was how Bones was as well. Oh. And then that's a banger. That's how, actually, now that I think about it, that's how all my songs were. Yeah. Up until Ivy. Ivy was the first time where I made something and then, like, didn't work on it for, like, 7-8 months and then, like, came back to it and finished it.
Yeah.
That's like the only time that's happened.
Yeah.
So, but given that I only like those songs were 2 years apart,
Yeah.
or 1 year apart each.
Yeah.
Like time wise, like the amount of time that spanned all of that.
Yeah.
What I felt with Dream Yoga was a very new feeling.
Dope.
It like brought me back to like a couple years ago. Where, like,
Yeah.
I would hear something and be like, "Oh my god, like I'm gonna make a song."
Yeah, that's. I feel a song coming on.
Yeah,
when
yeah.
Their whole life's a musical, and you're just like, I gotta.
Yeah, like you know how that
Yeah.
feeling is.
Oh yeah.
And then
Oh yeah.
Life gets like better because like
Yeah. Yeah.
when you know. Yeah, when you know that you have a good song that you're working on, it's also a dangerous place to be because
Yeah.
like you have to make sure you actually finish.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's like, at least for me, there's like a month there's like a month out. There's an expiration date on that feeling.
Yeah.
If you haven't fully executed on the work at that point in time, life gets like really bad.
God damn it, I'm getting.
But if you do execute on it,
Yeah.
you're like chilling.
Okay.
That's how it is for me.
Just to normalize things. Also, like the month thing seems to be like a consistent thing, which is a dope thing to realize. For me, for example, it's very different. Like I will hold on to songs floating around for like years at a time. As anybody who's been following me well knows, it takes a minute. And some songs are like very much grindy ones where it's like, fuck it, like let's just for like the whole time.
Yeah.
So there's like a big variety to it. Just to anybody who's like, shit, I don't finish songs in a month, I can't put it out. Like the point of this is to normalize. So
yeah, and I think too the key is like just finding. I don't know. I'm almost convinced that there's just like an internal clock.
Yeah.
That just like it just like. It seems like the sort of emotions I go through when I'm working on a song hit on like the same. It's just on the same rhythm every time. Like 2 weeks in, I feel like this.
That is so
and I
dope
get to
to
this
notice.
stage in the song, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
That's such like a vital piece of self-awareness. I feel like just to like did you like discover this recently? Do you feel like?
I think this was all established when I made like my Demon Slayer EP.
Damn.
Because that worked in like a very rhythmic way. Maybe I've sort of convinced myself I had this clock based off of my experience making that project, but
hey, placebo works 50% of the time.
That's what I'm saying.
On,
like it's I like believe in it enough to where I feel like it does something because whether or not it's real, like I've kind of made it real by believing in it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, dude, this shit is the music thing is so like it's such a mental game. Like so just whatever to make your brain go yep is like exactly what you need to do. Like if it's rubbing two crystals together or like high-fiving a sandwich, like either one you're gonna get it. You're gonna get it.
Do you have that sort of like? Do you have some sort of like?
Yeah, sandwich high fives every day. Every day I wake up in the morning, I do yoga, I make a coffee, and then I make a sandwich, and I just a beat just like straight. And then songs come out at a rate of about like one every year or two, so it works super well historically. No. To answer the question,
it's more like
infuriating.
nebulous.
It's super nebulous. I would like if anything, it's like the other way where it's like songs will be like floating around and then there will be a click point where it's like, oh shit, this is the song. And then it'll just be like, just like unload from there.
But that point will come at a different time in the process.
Yeah, hell yeah. It is chaotic. Like, I don't know. I think we're about to go talk about this right now, but you know, around where we first started releasing music, it was like so much quicker, quicker. The turnaround was like weeks instead of years type of thing, and I don't know. Part of that is like having the fuck it, like nobody's listening anyway, like let's just go type of shit. Like that's kind of beautiful, but another part of it is just knowing what you don't know type of shit. Like it's kind of like with anything, like the more you learn about a topic, the more you're like fuck me, like I don't know what gain staging is, like you know what I mean, like whereas like when you first start making music, you're like I know what a fucking chord is, watch this, or maybe you don't, like maybe it's just like I know this sounds good, and at the end of the day, like that's all that matters.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's like at the start when like you have that lack of information, there's like a beauty to that where it's like it's just like fuck it, like the kick is gonna peak at plus 13 because it sounds good.
Yeah,
and like
for
that's
sure.
what we're gonna do, and that's dope. And then as you learn more and more, then you spend like a year learning how to fucking master for no reason.
Yeah.
There is a reason.
There is.
It's like the last like 1% of like how like
It
you know
is,
what I mean.
yeah.
It is noticeable at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I do think too, especially like as I don't know how noticeable the quality upgrade is to like the average listener, but
it seemed big. Like the comment, like
yeah, but I do think that I feel like for both of us, a large portion of like the dedicated fan base is like they produce music and
that's true.
So
That's
they kind of
facts.
know about that stuff.
That's
but
facts.
I do think regardless of who notices or not, as an artist, you have to just like you have to keep trying to do something cooler.
Yeah,
That's
you gotta
like
keep
my
yourself
stance on it.
entertained.
Yeah, like,
It's just
you got it. Like if you feel that there's something weird about your masters,
then it's just
do
not gonna
something
cut
about
it.
that.
Yeah, change. Like you're not gonna put it out if you're like, damn, that shit sounds garbage. Like if
Yeah.
and
Like
that's just gonna.
I
change over
don't.
time.
This seems to be a pretty unpopular opinion, but I hear people say a lot like, "Oh, even if you don't know how to feel about your song or whatever, put it out because like you can't be the judge of it. Like other people could.
Yeah,
love
that's
it. Blah,
weird,
it-
yeah.
like, I just don't get that. It's
Yeah,
like
that is weird.
I think you should believe that it's a really good song.
You should like it.
Yeah, at the very least.
Yeah. I would. I think that was like one of the things that like got me into putting music out. Like, it was like, oh, like if I like it, there's like statistically maybe someone else will.
Yeah,
Also,
I think
because
that's a
one
better-
human already enjoys it type of shit.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's like if you don't like your music. Also, if you don't like your music, it's like. It's okay, you know what I mean? Like to not enjoy your music, but I don't think you have to like force yourself to put it out either.
Yeah.
Which
No.
is I don't know. But there's a lot of factors into how you end up enjoying your music. Like how much you enjoy music does change.
Yes.
Like I've been going through like a period of like I just like don't like music.
Yes,
That was a long one. I was just on podcast mode.
Yeah, we've talked about it.
Watching a shitload of ASMR.
Yeah.
Yeah, goddamn.
Yeah, I've had those phases as well.
Ugh. There's also times of day. Like if I try and like at like 3 to 5 p.m. is like my dead zone type of shit. Like I just get so tired.
If you try to listen to music during that, you're just like,
Yeah, if I try to make music, it's like, oh wow, like I am the worst to ever do it. Like this is awful. Everything's out of time. Like I don't know if we've talked about having those moments where you like put on a song and you're like, why does it sound
really
slow?
fast or slow,
yeah.
yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck? Especially
Yeah.
like your own music. Like I remember like skating one time and putting Como on and I'm like, what the fuck? Like why is this like 30 BPM slower? Like what? But like on that note of like processes changing and shit, for a long time, I've been very interested in how like your projects before Elroy and like because you kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It was 2019, yeah.
2019. Yeah.
Mid 2019, Sunny comes out, and everybody's like, ooh, and then like an Aries a fan page posts a bunch of hate stuff. And
Yeah.
we'll get into that.
And
later.
yeah, that was my start.
Yeah, we'll get into that. We'll get into that. So, what do you talk to me about your first experience wanting to create music?
Like formally or just like very first?
Like when were you like, damn, I like I'm making music right now?
Making or just like anything music related?
Anything music related.
Okay, because my brother had a drum set.
Yeah.
That was in our basement, and it was like I don't know why it was down. I guess for sound reasons.
Yeah.
And it was like pitch black in there, and our basement was scary as fuck. And I was super young, and I didn't want to go down there because it was really scary. But I would hear him playing the drums, and so I would go down there when he wasn't home because he didn't like that I would play his drums. So I would go down there and I would try to play loud enough that I like wasn't scared of what was going on down there anymore. And then the instant I stopped playing, I would freak the fuck out and run back upstairs.
What?
So I would have these like short
How
bursts.
old were you?
Like four or five.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
what? This is deep.
Yeah, drums were for sure my first instrument. Probably did that for like a couple years before I like touched another instrument.
Wow, just trying to play the monsters away in the basement.
Yeah. And then I got a little like keyboard for Christmas one year that had like loops on it and stuff.
How old were you when this keyboard came out?
Pretty young still. I was probably about 6.
Damn.
6 or 7. And
Yeah.
the thing is, though, I didn't like fully utilize it until a couple years later, but it was like a toy keyboard. It was like Buzz Lightyear themed or something.
Fire.
And it had these little loops. And I remember probably a couple years later, like I would toss the loops on and just like make little. I was always big on chord progressions. Like even before I knew anything about music, when I started messing around with those loops, my goal was always, let me find little 2-note clusters that I can play in sequence that like makes sense.
And you were 6.
No, I was probably like 9.
9?
That was a couple years after I got
so
that thing.
young. You're just like, let me just make sure this anime ass intro, like 12 chords.
Yeah, like I was big on the chords.
But so there was like 2-note clusters.
Yeah, like I would, because I didn't know. To me, like that was in my brain. It was like that's a chord when 2 notes can play at the same time and they work.
That is so.
So I was probably just playing fifths, like a 1 and a 5, and like just moving up and down over like these. Like I remember there was a this like I don't think the loops had names because there wasn't a screen on them, but there was this like construction site sounding loop, like it sounded like
loop?
this industrial like yeah. And I loved that shit, bro. Like I would loop the industrial beat and just be like bing bing bing. It was some like garage shit. I did that for like 2 years probably. Like my favorite pastime was just playing chord progressions over that construction site.
It was just that loop was like, you're like, yeah. That's awesome. Holy fuck.
And then like one of my brothers got like a big MIDI keyboard that had like all these bells and whistles. And he was super into it for like 2 days and then like lost interest. So I like took it from him and put it in my room.
Wow. And was this like solo? Like, was this like you didn't need to plug it into anything?
Yeah, it was like battery.
Dope.
So
and
I
it like
would-
made
I
its
just-
own. You'd like put headphones in it or something.
No, I would just play out this. It had a little speaker on it. So I would just like have it on the ground and I would just like lay like on my stomach, and, like kicking my feet. And
That's so dope.
That had like a huge sound bank. So like I feel like that,
Oh yeah, game over.
yeah, that's when I became interested in like all the different
Composing
sounds.
type shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It also had this thing where it had a bank of like these classical songs and you could play any key you wanted and the song would play and it would show you on the screen like what the actual chords were. So I love to like put like these really complex classical songs and just hit one key and like pretend that I was playing the song. But that like taught me a lot about chords because I would play the note and it would show me what the actual chord was.
Yeah.
So after
dope. Was it one of those ones where, like on the screen it would show you the piano roll
Yeah.
and it would like
Exactly,
So it's
yeah.
like fucking Rock Band. type
Exactly,
shit.
yeah.
Yo, yeah.
So like once I got bored of like, okay, this is like I'm not actually playing this song. It's like I can't take credit for this.
Yeah.
Then I tried to actually learn the chords from the songs, and that was how I started to like actually learn music. I feel like.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah.
That's so cool, bro. We gotta find that like garage beat thing. Like, can you imagine? This explains so much. I creep and crawl like a creeper. It's fucking crazy. That's so fucking dope.
Yeah. So that was like the early days.
That's the early stage. So when did you get how old were you when you got the MIDI keyboard?
like the big boy.
Yeah, the one that showed you the chords.
That was like 10 or 11, I think.
Wow, you were still so goddamn young. That's absurd.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, damn. Chad is getting extremely slutty. I'm not even gonna answer that question. I see y'all.
What do they say?
I'm just gonna say good in response.
Good.
Good. What do you think the question was?
I don't know.
Okay, moving on. So, okay, you were 12. When did you get the first semblance of like wanting to sing over these songs?
That actually came because I know that came pretty early for you, right?
Yeah, I was singing before I did most stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. That because for me that was I didn't really I wasn't really interested or it never even crossed my mind to do that.
Yeah.
Until I was like Well, I mean, it was Owl City. We can talk about Owl City
I want
if you
to,
want.
dude. No.
This will be lengthy.
One of the questions is, what are your top three musical influences? So let's get into Owl City.
Yeah.
Okay, that was the first episode of the Elroy interview. I hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to support the show directly, you can at patreon.com/Bryce Bishop. You can rate it 5 stars in whatever podcast application you're using. Really helps push it out to more people. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed the episode. I'm Bryce, and thank you for being part of my life. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
For everything.
everything.